Imagine sitting across from a doctor begging to have your pain taken seriously and being dismissed over and over. For people suffering from conditions like endometriosis or PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, it's an experience they know all too well. Playwright Tayla Kenyon is one of those people. She suffers from PMDD and she's written a play about her experience with the condition that causes extreme mood swings, depression and anxiety a week or two before her period.
I've definitely struggled with periods since I was probably 11. And I used to be sick from the pain, physically sick and things like that. And, even struggled to go to school. Obviously, it's the link with mental health. So for a long time, I thought it wasn't linked to my periods. I thought I just had really bad depression, bad anxiety, personality disorders. I thought I had bipolar, things like that. So the time that I was oh, this is linked to my periods was probably when I found the information about premenstrual dysphoric disorder online. And I was that ticks all the boxes of the symptoms. I then started writing the play actually as a kind of catharsis for myself. It wasn't something I was going to produce. It was just, I'm just kind of writing this to understand myself.
I'm not hysterical or psychotic or a bloody witch.
PMDD affects 1 in 20 females at birth who experience periods and can be considered a disability under the Equality Act. Celebrities like Vicky Patterson, Zara Larsson and Dixie D'Amelio have all spoken out about their struggles with the condition.
And this is a lot of people have this, but no one talks about it at all.
I myself have got PMDD, and it's been something I've been dealing with for about 10 years. And initially when I was trying to get a diagnosis, I was passed from pillar to post, ignored, dismissed, made to feel ashamed, as if it was something every woman was dealing with and I just wasn't strong enough.
PMDD is one of many women's health conditions we still don't know a lot about, and it makes getting a diagnosis or treatment incredibly difficult.
I stopped going to the doctor's appointments and I didn't push it because I thought I just felt awful every time. I felt belittled and I felt stupid. Every time I came back, I thought, I'm not doing that again. And even if I get the diagnosis, what does it matter? It puts a label on it, but it doesn't, like you say, it doesn't treat it, doesn't do anything for me.
For Stacey Cullen, getting answers about her painful periods took decades.
I got my first menstrual cycle when I was 9 years old. It was very, very young and very unexpected. And I always had really awful periods. It was just tons and tons of bleeding, lots and lots of pain. I was prescribed heavy painkillers when I was really young. I ultimately had the privilege of going private to a psychiatrist because I was just so desperate to have an actual answer of what was going on with me. And it was actually her that suggested that it might be PMDD because she also was sort of helping me titrate my ADHD medication at the time and had me start tracking my symptoms. And it became obvious to her that it was related to my menstrual cycle. And once that sort of clicked, a lot of my life just made a lot more sense. And so I got a diagnosis a lot easier, I think, than most people do. But at the same time, when you think about it, it took probably a good 25 years of having a cycle to get there.
So why is it so difficult for sufferers to be taken seriously?
Women, so 50% of the population, have been neglected for so long in research. They actually weren't included in most clinical trials until not so long ago. And to this day, most conditions that disproportionately impact women are still underfunded and under-researched, which was in a report from McKinsey that came out last year.
Imradite is a neuroscientist. She's created a scientifically backed headband to help treat PMDD and endometriosis.
Nettle is this brain stimulation device. It probably doesn't look like how everyone expects a brain stimulation device to look like. So it's fully wireless. It looks like a headband. You just wear it on top of your head. And it stimulates 2 brain regions, the prefrontal cortex and the motor cortex. And in stimulating those regions, it alters your perception of pain. So you decrease in the way you perceive pain and therefore allows you to not feel pain during your periods, as well as it alters your mood regulation. So it allows you to manage your mood as well as motivation in that week leading up to your period. So symptoms linked to PMS, but also more broader conditions such as PMDD.
TDCS is the technology. It is FDA approved in the US for depression. It has been adopted by the NHS for the treatment of depression.
It's currently being trialled in PMDD patients at Queen Mary's University in London.
This is a kind of phase 1 trial where we've had 22 women in each condition. So that is 22 women who underwent 3 months of real stimulation using the device as it's intended to be used. And then 22 women who underwent sham stimulation, so fake placebo. What we found was that over the course of 3 menstrual cycles, using nettle significantly reduced anxiety more than sham, and it reduced emotional reactivity more than sham. The group as a whole improved, and that is what we saw.
A number of Femtech companies are plugging gaps in women's health with products from tampons to help diagnose HPV to online menopause clinics available via an app. It's an industry projected to be worth $103 billion by 2030.
For a long time, women weren't asked about their experience. Visible problems or any problems that impact fertility were addressed. So things like IVF were developed over 50, 60 years ago because they impacted fertility, or things like oncological problems. So for example, cancers, because obviously they lead to mortality, are being addressed a little bit more. But when it comes to what we call morbidity, or the quality of life for women across life, that is always subjective. It requires someone expressing a level of pain, a level of discomfort, a level of unhappiness with their everyday life. And I think if you look at the medical literature going probably 100 years, you can't really see records of women expressing those feelings. In fact, when they were, that's when they started getting diagnosed with things like hysteria, which is our common knowledge for depression. So whenever we saw women expressing some form of chronic complaint or some experience of not thriving in some way that isn't visible externally, that is merely subjective, we saw that generally ignored.
Medicine ignoring women's bodies isn't just anecdotal. The numbers back it up. A woman is 50% more likely than a man to receive the wrong initial diagnosis for a heart attack. Women spend 25% more of their lives than men in debilitating health. And endometriosis, a condition that affects 1 in 10 women, takes on average 9 years to be diagnosed in the UK. Even when a diagnosis is made, much like with PMDD, treatment is limited. So what's being done about all of this? Well, scientists like Em are working to provide solutions, but getting those solutions to the people who need them isn't so simple.
Trying to convince the reviewers that this is a really important population that are really underserved, under-supported and need help, and that B, this intervention could be really useful. That's the tricky thing.
They're like, why would we compensate something when we're not saving more money? Because before we just used to not treat it. And I think that's a structural barrier that's not related to the NHS. It's a global problem for a new problem to be solved.
Still, she's hopeful.
The amount of progress that has happened in the last 4 years has absolutely stunned me. And obviously we've been a big part of the ecosystem, but I think now seeing not only industry, but also academia finally joining the play.
One of the big things driving that progress, awareness.
Knowledge is power, and I also think play or art is a really effective way of getting understanding towards not just women, but men, like everybody.
The more we talk about it, the more we draw attention to it, the more we can empower people to think to themselves, this feels familiar to me, that has been affecting my life, and I need to go talk to someone about it.
These women sharing their stories and fighting for better solutions.
I'm sure this is linked with my periods.
So others don't have to feel like this.
Please help me.